Hey guys, welcome back. Orbomb here, bringing you another one of our live deck profiles. Today we are doing Nidoqueen Meganium. Before we get into the video, don't forget, always support the content if you guys enjoy the content. Also, remember, comments are still entries. I guess I should ask comment question today because I think I forgot the last one because I was rushing it. But what's your favorite non-GX card to come out of the set that isn't Jirachi? To come out of Team Up. How about that? That seems like fun. I think Nidoqueen is really cool. I know a lot of people like the Charizard and stuff like that. So yeah, go ahead and answer the comment question today. Remember that the entries, I think this is the second to last video before the entries are done for the Team Up. For the Team Up booster box. Thanks to our sponsors at Guardian Gaming. Lovely guys, by the way. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get right into the video. I forgot to mention the decks that like Glaceon's really good in the last video. Just like, I think it's kind of it's obvious, right? Excuse me. I think it's kind of obvious, right? You're good against the things that are based off of GX abilities, and you're bad against things like, you're bad against things that heal a lot, and can reduce your damage and stuff like that. Like, you're really good against a lot of non-GX decks, like Zapdos and stuff like that, because you can take knockout, spread damage really efficiently. But you're bad against things like, let's just say, Venusaur Celebi. Venusaur Celebi, I think, just eats you up, right? Because they can attach energies every turn and reduce your damage and heal. At the same time, though, they can't technically use items, so maybe that's a little bit more. I have to test that matchup, actually. Because if you only have 2 Pokemon down, then they can't use items because of Omastar. And they can't Oko you ever. And you can heal a little bit. And maybe, I don't know, we'll have to see. But yeah, that's that. Let's go ahead and talk about today's video, which is gonna be Nidoqueen Meganium. We're playing 3 Nidorans. Now Nidoran has Call for Family, which is why we're playing this one. I mean, I don't think there is another one, but it has Call for Family, so you search for a basic. That's actually kind of relevant because we do want to set up our board with like Chikorritas and stuff right away. And we're playing 3 of the brand new Nidoqueen. I forgot to get an English one, because I know Kate has an English one, I just forgot to grab it, but 160 HP, which is kind of relevant. Pretty decent amount of HP. With a really strong ability, once per turn, you may search your deck for 1 non-GX or EX Pokemon and put it into your hand. So it's a free Pokemon search. That could be a basic, that can be a stage 2. It can be any Pokemon that isn't a 2 prize attacker, or I guess in this case, a 3 prize attacker now. Excuse me, guys. And its attack for 3 energies, colorless energies, by the way, so you can fit this into most decks. It does 10 damage plus 50 more damage for each evolution Pokemon on your bench. This deck plays exclusively evolution Pokemon, besides the basics they evolve from, right? So if you have a bench full of them, you're hitting 260, 50 times, yeah, 250 plus 10, 260 damage. That's a lot of damage. I don't play Choice Band in this deck, but if you play Choice Band, you can knock out pretty much every tag team. I feel like just being a non-GX Pokemon is enough pressure to where I don't feel like we need to get Choice Band. But if you want to make room for Choice Band in this deck, you can, because that's 290 damage. That knocks out everything I could think of besides like the 300 HP dudes, like Wailord. So it's really, really, really strong. I think it's a really powerful attacker. And you know, it's a stage 2, so let's pair it with our Meganium line. 2 Chikorritas, 1 Bayleaf. The reason why we're playing the Bayleaf was exclusively because we're playing its item lock in that video. If you want to take out the Bayleaf, you can. Just know that Omastar exists now, so it might be a little bit risky to take out the Bayleaf, because if they item lock you, you just lose, because you can never evolve into any of your Pokemon. We're also playing 2 Meganium. And Meganium got really popular since Shintaro Ito, I believe his name, went to a tournament with it. I believe he made 16th with a Frog Loop deck using Meganium. But Meganium is really, really cool. I'm very happy that I finally got a reason to play it, because I've been looking for an excuse to play it. Meganium has the ability Quick Ripening Herb. Once during your turn, you may use the ability choose one of your basic Pokemon to play, and if you have a stage 2 card in your hand that evolves from that Pokemon, put that card into the basic Pokemon to evolve it. So essentially, you can evolve immediately. You don't have to do it the first turn. So you don't have to put the basic down and wait a turn, then evolve it. You could literally just put down Beldum and then Metagross immediately on top of it. You can put down Chikorita and then Meganium immediately on top of it using this ability. You can only use this ability once per turn. So in a perfect world, you get 2 down, so you can do it twice per turn. And gets your early game really, really nicely set up. We're playing a 2-2 line of Vulpix Ninetales. Just because, shout out to Kate, by the way, she let me use these for the video. I don't actually own these right now. I should probably try to get one, because I just sold my hyper rare one, because, you know, I think it was like $50, man. That's good money. 200 HP. Mysterious Guidance is the main reason why we're playing it. Lets you get any 2 items from your deck to your hand. And then Vulpix, of course, having Beacon letting you put Pokemon into your hand is just a really nice combination in a deck that's all about setting up your board with Pokemon and getting the rare candies and stuff like that. We can't use any of the attacks with this card. I guess if you want to read the card, I'll put it right here for you. But we don't use any of the attacks because we don't play any Fairy Energies, so something to keep in mind. And then my special little spice in this deck, because everyone's talking about playing it with Malamar, just so you can accelerate Psychic Energies and stuff like that. I'm gonna play it with Metagross GX instead. Metagross GX gives you a really decent GX attacker. 250 HP is really, really high. And obviously there's the whole benefit like, oh, you don't wanna play GXs in this deck. But when you're playing something like Metagross GX, you have access to a really strong GX attack and algorithm, which this deck can really abuse, letting you get any 5 cards from your deck into your hand. Giga Hammer is a nice base damage. You have a metal type attacker now, and Geotech lets you attach energies from your bench, from your discard pile to the active Pokemon. Now it's really relevant because that means you don't have to do this awkward switching around, because when you play with Malamar, you're forced in this position to where you have to awkwardly switch between Pokemon to put them in the active. This deck doesn't have space to be playing down any like Tapu Kokos or free retreaters like that, so it's hard. Like you have to play Guzmas and switches and stuff like that, which takes up a lot more deck space than just playing a 2/2 Metagross line. So that's why I'm choosing to play the Metagross. Of course, it does have high HP, and you can always just rely on Super Boost and just manual attachments throughout the game if you really don't want to play down the Metagross in a particular match. But I think the Metagross is actually really, really good because it means that you can streamline your attacks way easier than you could before. Now, obviously, there's a downside that you get turned off by things like Glaceon, like in the video, but against not Glaceon, it's really good. And even against Glaceon, you have Giga Hammer, so you can easily set up your Metagross to take a knockout on the Glaceons. So I think it's very strong. And of course, we're closing it all off with only a 1/1 line of Swampert. I wanted to play a 2/2 line. There is no space in this deck for a 2/2 line. The only thing I can imagine is cutting out a 1/1 line of Ninetales, because with all these basics, we're never gonna really lead the Vulpix. I mean, it's unlikely. We could, but it's unlikely, so I don't really think I need to play 2/2 line of Ninetales Vulpix. If you guys want to, you can cut it out. I don't think I will, but it's an option for you guys. That is going to be the Pokemon line. There's a lot of Pokemon in this deck. I think this deck's a lot of fun. I love playing Meganium, man. It's actually so much fun. Now, let's go on to the items. 4 Nest Balls, actually, instead of 4 Ultra Balls. Just 2 Ultra Balls in this one. I mean, I feel like 4 Nest Balls is enough to set up your basics. Maybe if you have a lot of consistency issues in the beginning, you can increase your count to 2 Ultra Balls, from 2 to 4 Ultra Balls instead. It's just that, like, it's hard to discard cards in this deck, I found, because you want to keep your candy so you can get multiple evolutions at the same time, and you're not really in a comfortable position to start discarding cards until you get to late in the game, and it's all about setting up early, right? 2 Pokemon Communications. It pairs beautifully with Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen lets you put a Pokemon from your deck to your hand. It can't be a GX or EX though, but then you can play Pokemon Communications. You can put that Pokemon from your hand into your deck, and if you do, you may search your deck for a Pokemon reveal and put it in your hand. So you can actually switch out that non-GX for a GX or EX Pokemon, as well as just helps you like get Pokemon down that you need to get down early game as well. Pokemon Communications is really nice in this deck, so we are playing 2 Pokecoms. And I'm also playing 2 Timer Balls, only because like we're playing Ninetales, and being able to search Timer Ball with Ninetales is really strong. So I'm playing 2 because I want to prize it, because that gets you your Meganium most likely, right? I still think you don't cut out Timer Ball completely, because it's so important to be able to find those evolutions early game. It gets your early game habit, and it makes your early game a lot stronger. But I could see the reason why people wouldn't like Timer Ball. I mean, it's still a flip card in the end of the day, right? I have to sneeze, and I can't mute this, so hold on, guys. Excuse me. This is the one part about not having a mic. Oof. All right, hopefully it's not too gross. 4 rare candies, so we can set up our board easier. 2 Rescue Stretcher to get back our Pokemon, and 1 Looker Whistle, letting you search your deck for 2 Looker cards and put them into your hand, so you can constantly be drawing, because Looker is your draw card of choice. Better than How, because you have access to Looker Whistle, right? We play it because we only want to add to our deck, not remove, and our hands are always huge. So until we get to the late game, it's always huge. And when we're at the late game, we have Nidoqueen that searches Pokemon, Metagross that gets energy from your discard pile to your hand, Mount Cornet, which gets them onto the board. I mean, Mount Cornet gets the metal energies from your deck from your discard pile to your hand, and Meganium lets you evolve. So once you get to late game, we don't need anything else except maybe to try to find Super Boost, which is why we don't bother playing many other draw supporters. speaking of draw supporters, we are playing 4 Looker. Let me remove these off the board again. There we go. 4 Looker and 2 Lily as our draw supporters, and that's really all we need as far as draw support goes. I'm trying to get away from the glare. There we go. As far as everything else goes, 2 Guzma. I would like to add more. I don't think I have space to add more right now. But I don't know, there's still plenty of space to play around with this deck. This deck is not concrete at all. So you can still play around with the numbers in this deck. 1 Bill's analysis, we talked about this in the last video. Being able to search for any of the item cards or trainer cards that we need the following turn is really strong. This lets you find rare candy easier. This lets you find Looker Whistle. This lets you find draw supporters. This lets you find the balls or communication. So I think it's still a very strong card. And then 1 Gladion, only because this deck has a lot of 1-ofs, 2-ofs, 3-ofs. So like, it's good to know your prizes so that you can use your Gladion to get the exact prize that you need. Like you would absolutely hate to only have a 1/1 line of Meganium down. So using Gladion to get the other Meganium piece that you need is really powerful. And as far as Stadium goes, 2 Mount Cornets. Once again, back on the grind of saying that I feel like every deck needs counter stadiums. Wonder Prism, Wonder Labyrinth, I think is what it's called. The fairy one is really strong. It can disrupt you. Black Market Prism Star can be really annoying against some Zoroark decks, and that could disrupt you. There's a lot of annoying supporters out there. So having the ability to have a really good counter stadium is really strong, since you can't Field Blower them away. Otherwise, we would be playing Field Blower. Mount Cornet getting you an extra attachment for the turn on top of Metagross means that sometimes you just don't even need to have DCEs, right? But we still play 4 of them. 4 DCEs, only 5 metals. I could probably get away with 4 if you want to cut a 4th one. And then 1 Super Boost, just letting you attack with all of your Pokemon instantly. Letting you attack with Swampert, hitting for 160, which is good against, and even hitting for 80 is pretty decent as well, just to knock out things like Blacephalon. You could technically attack with Meganium if you get to, if you're playing against like a Lycanroc or something weak to grass. You could attack with Metagross really quickly. It's just like, lets any of your stage 2 attackers attack pretty much instantly, since we're always gonna have, well, in theory, we should always have 3 stage 2s down. As far as matchups go, I think the matchups for this deck is really powerful. The only problem is getting the setup going. You're a non-GX deck that can hit OHKO numbers. Like, like what's bad about that? The bad part is the setup. So you want to make sure that you can set up your game. So this deck is all about like getting the consistency going first. So I'm definitely gonna be playing around with this deck more and more. Maybe we'll even showcase this deck again in the future, because I actually really like this deck. I think Nidoqueen hitting for like 200, 250, 260, I mean, it's just so strong. Being able to OHKO a lot of different Pokemon is just so good. Being able to draw 3 cards with Swampert is so good. Being able to search items is so good. Being able to accelerate energy and have a powerful GX attack is so good. Like, there's so many good parts of this deck, man. And you have a bunch of different type attackers if you want to abuse Super Boost. So, love this deck, man. I think it's a lot of fun. I can't wait to experiment with more. I don't think it's tier 1 because of how clunky it is, but I definitely think it is a deck worth looking into. Don't forget to drop a like on the video if you have not already, guys. Subscribe, share, all that good jazz, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, I think, with the 100 plus packs of Lost Thunder Team Up pack opening, thanks to our sponsors at Guardians Gaming on my Twitch. I'll also upload the VOD later. But yeah, peace.